One of the major practices of yoga, pranayama, or breath control, can be enhanced by the use of the gong. There are many breath techniques in yoga, and you can play according to the technique of breath that you're using. But the most fundamental breathing technique is a simple inhalation and exhalation with a suspension or retention. We can use the gong to time the breath. When you're playing the gong for pranayama, it's important to keep in mind that it's oftentimes difficult to match the strike of the gong with all the different students' pranayama rhythms. But in this case, when we're working with a breath cycle, we can give an instruction to inhale, strike the gong, to hold the breath in, to retain the breath, strike the gong to exhale, and then suspend the breath out. So this allows us to practice the four major cycles of the breath: inhalation, retention, exhalation, and suspension. And we use the gong as a timer or as a cue for the pranayama. Let's demonstrate that to see how it's done. To begin the practice of pranayama, we would have the student exhale completely out because the breath actually begins with the exhalation. After they exhale the breath out, there will be an instruction to inhale. On the inhalation of the breath, the gong is struck in an upward direction in this fashion. Inhale. The breath is held while the sound of the gong is playing. The breath is retained. You can silence the gong if you like, and then the instruction is to exhale the downward strike. Exhale. When the breath is completely out, the breath is suspended out as the sound of the gong decays. Now you can start to manage your breath rhythm by playing the gong in that fashion. Inhale. Exhale. Depending on the breath technique that gets more sophisticated, you'll play the gong in different areas with different strikes. This is the basic beginning of using the sound of the gong to connect to the prana of the breath and the control of the breath through pranayama.